You've been here before, haven't you? A soft, gentle voice speaks out to you from the darkness. You can't exactly make out where the voice came from, yet in the back of your mind, it seems familiar to you. The voice reminds you of something or someone you've met before. Of course, that doesn't exactly mean that you trust it. After all, growing up, you've had the message drilled into your brain that strangers were not to be trusted. So instead of giving in to curiosity, as you're often prone to do, you just stop moving, and everything just fades away, leaving you alone. Over the next few days, you keep dreaming of that voice calling out to you from within the depths of your mind. Each night that passes by, the voice is just a little bit closer to where you're standing. Each time, the voice asks you the same question as the previous nights. You've been here before, haven't you? You seem familiar to me. At first, the voice, which was soft, gentle, almost melodic in nature, had slowly started to change. Each night the voice grew deeper, more sadistic. This was starting to make you afraid. It was this fear that kept you up late at night, having no real idea of what it was you were afraid of. You would eventually drift off to sleep. The inky blackness of the night would catch you in its gentle embrace. Then before you were aware of what it was you were doing, the voice would call out to you. Several more days come and go, each day bringing little comfort to the fear you would feel at night. You were starting to lose sleep. You'd catch yourself drifting off in the middle of the day. Friends started commenting on how different you were appearing. Once neat, properly groomed, you were now disheveled. Your hair, which was once kept pulled back in a neat ponytail, was now strewn all over the place. You haven't slipped so far as to let yourself start to stink. But inside your mind, you were clearly aware that if any more nights like the ones you've been having keep happening, you weren't certain of how much longer that would continue. On the drive home, you stop at a local convenience store to grab a remedy for sleep. The cashier just stares at you. Eyes that seem to register the presence from somewhere else. He looks at you once more, recognition dawning on him. Before he was able to mutter the last words that you needed to hear right now, you dart out the front door. You imagine that maybe you screamed. The way some of the customers were looking at you, it made sense that you screamed. Instead of going home, you decided to go to a field nearby. As you drive there, sleep starts to try to catch up to you. But instead of succumbing to the embrace of the Sandman, you down the energy drink as quickly as you were able. The caffeine and other chemicals begin to surge through your body. Awareness kicks in, just in time for you to slam on the brakes, barely avoiding a deer that avoided your sight. You lay on the horn, hoping to get the animal to move. Instead, it just stands there, staring back at you. Inside your brain, you hear the voice calling out to you. You've been here before, haven't you? You seem familiar to me. If it weren't for the fact that you know that the deer were incapable of speech, especially in a manner that you were capable of understanding, you would swear the deer was speaking the words at you. Instead, you open the door, proceed to march towards the deer. You wanted to scare it off, get it out of the way. Something inside of you snapped. You started screaming at the deer. You grab a stone to throw it at the deer and hit it in its side. A yelp of pain escapes the deer as the stone collides with its body. Fear, frustration, and now guilt all swarm around inside your body, tearing you apart. I'm sorry, dear, you holler as it jumps away from the car. You can't believe that you'd just thrown a stone at a deer that had done nothing wrong to you. Sanity was something you were starting to realize that you were clearly beginning to lack. After days of sleep, it was starting to catch up to you. I mean, that's what it says. If you went to sleep, that thing would be there waiting for you. But if you kept going at the rate you were, you might wind up hurting yourself, or worse, someone else. Someone who had done nothing wrong to you. Deciding it was time to finally get some sleep, you get back into your car, close the door, turn off the vehicle. You pull out your cell phone, fidget around in the vehicle for a bit, looking for your earbuds. Once you feel the familiar rubber cable, you put them into your ears, and your fingers expertly navigate your phone's menu until you come across just what it was you were looking for. The Sleep Tight playlist your mother made for you when she handed you this phone. It was her way to make sure that you were getting enough sleep. You tap the button, then the gentle melody of a piano finds its way into your headphones. This time, you were able to make out something. Your dreamscape was altered. Everything was just as you'd imagined it would be, fields of flowers dotting the landscape. The voice wasn't there to torment you this time. You keep walking around, happiness enveloping every pore of your body, just as everything was about to end perfectly. A thick black liquid begins to pool at your feet. Panic takes over you as you begin to run away from the scene before you. The beautiful scenery around you starts to melt away. You begin to struggle against everything that was going on. How could this be happening? Fear begins to cause your body to move. You fall to you as black viscous liquid was now clinging to every part of your body. A deep laugh rumbles around you as the voice from your nightmare speaks out to you. You've been here before, haven't you? It was shouting at you. This time it seemed to know that it had you exactly where it wanted you. Your body was paralyzed both by fear and this black liquid that was binding you to the spot. I've seen you before. The voice continues to speak at you from every single corner of the dreamscape. Just as it appeared that everything was about to be over for you, you notice something, and it's the voice, which had started off big, loud, and commanding, was beginning to become softer. The voice now seemed to be located behind you, just over your visual range. Your own voice tries to squeak out, but the words won't come. Believing it truly to be the end of you being able to sleep, you let out a soft whimper as you imagine the creature just wrapping the liquid around your body, swallowing you whole. It was at this moment that just as you close your eyes, hoping the end would be swift, instead, the voice speaks to you again. I remember you now. We used to be the best of friends. We would run through the woods, then we would stop and sit by the lake. The voice was gentler now. It didn't seem so ominous anymore. You forced yourself to calm down. You counted backwards from 10 inside your head. Fear was the mind killer, they always said. It would appear that in this case, it was also the imagination feeder? After forcing everything to stop being so terrifying, you realized that you were only paralyzed by thoughts that were running through your own head. You rationalized that the reason you were afraid, so afraid, of going back to sleep was something that was speaking to you, something that you were unable to see, so you made it more terrifying than you had to. As more time progresses, the thick, viscous fluid that had you bound only moments before was now clear water which was flowing freely through the fields. The scenery, which had warped to some horrific nightmarish dreamscape, was now a blue night scene, stars dotting the sky, each glowing brightly with a renewed purpose. As this was going on, you still feared one thing. The voice speaks out to you once more. I remember you. You were my best friend. You recognize the voice. It was the voice you'd given to your pet cat when you would pet him. It was a soft feminine voice that matched your own, but it was slightly deeper to indicate that the voice was supposed to be masculine. You turned around in your dream to reach out gently and pick up the cat waiting for you there. You give him a gentle scratch underneath the chin, where you knew he liked being scratched. After several hours, your alarm goes off. You startle yourself awake, check the clock. It was now 6 at night. You decide that you no longer need to go out to the field to sort your mind out. It had all sorted itself out. However, you did have something important to do. You drive to the local florist, grab some flowers, then make your way to the makeshift grave that you had made for your cat. You take away the old withered flowers, dust off the dirt that had settled on the stones, and place fresh new flowers that you had just purchased. You close your eyes in silent prayer for your departed friend, grab a bottle of water, and pour it over the gravestone to clean it off. With everything sorted, you turn to walk away from the gravestone. You promise yourself that you would come to visit your best friend more often. You get in your car, drive away, back home to enjoy the most restful sleep that you've had in what seems like forever. You and your best frolic through the fields of your imagination like you used to do when you were younger. You then spend the rest of the time underneath the stars, naming as many constellations with your imagination that you were able to make out.